Thank you, Vice President Ms. Moon. And also on Facebook. And I want to thank the Department of Lands and Natural Resources Division Director, Wildlife, Manny Pangilinan, of course, Director Frank Aldana, and I'm sorry, ma'am, Lisa Stefanski, right? Stikowski. Thanks for joining the meeting this afternoon. Straight up, a question before the special committee over the last week and a half, or last week, special committee oversight and informational hearing on Ophir Grants Management, State Clearinghouse. Reason why the Department of Lands and Natural Resources was asked to provide testimony before this special committee is because the reports indicated that there's grants that have been made available to the LNR, and we just wanted to have a moment with your agencies to see how the platform of 1949, that's the law that created State Clearinghouse, how is the working relationship, how is the standard operating procedure, and anything else that can assist this committee to understand better the platform of working working relationship with the two entities. Of course, you have in the special committee, to my left is Senator Vinny Sablan, to my right is Senator Victor Hoku, and to his right is Senator Francisco Cruz, and my name is Jude Hofschneider, and I'm chairing this special committee. So I throw the mic to Director Pangilinan, and please state your name for the record.
Thank you, Senate President Jude Hofschneider, and distinguished members of this special committee. Okay, before I begin, I want to, on behalf of the Secretary of the Deventi, I extend he's asking to be excused for this day because his daughter is giving birth at this time, as we speak. And, I urge him to stay there because it's very important. And I think, I'll just leave it there. I don't want to talk about medical conditions or whatnot. So anyway, as I said, my name is Manuel M. Pangilinan, and I am the director for the Division of Fish and Wildlife. DFW is the recipient of about 41 federal grants, totaling in the amount of $10 million, $10,060,122, with a current balance of $4,841,974. These grants are funded mostly by U.S. Fish and Wildlife Services under the Wildlife Sports Fish Restoration Program and the State Wildlife Grant Program, and the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, also known as NOAA. Majority of grants we receive are formula grants, with exceptions of several competitive grants, which pays for the Divisions of Fish and Wildlife Research Projects, technical guidance, assistance, program development, outreach, personal salaries, direct operational expenses, such as, but not limited to, utilities, fuel and lubrication, maintenance, office and operational supplies, and office rental, etc. Through the federal grants awarded that we receive yearly, we are able to employ a total of 49 personnel, which totals to be about $2,144,439.72 in salaries and fringe benefits. This does not include the vacant positions that have yet to be filled. The Division of Fish and Wildlife has staff and offices in all three islands. DFWF has no delinquent or outstanding grants. at this time or in the past. Throughout my tenure with the Divisions of Fish and Wildlife, I have the opportunity to work with the Office of Grants Management. My work experience with staff and management of the Office of Grants Management has been pleasant and professional. I can attest that the staff and management of the Office of Grants Management are professional, courteous, and knowledgeable in their own rights. I cannot recall a time that the Office of Grants Management is not helpful to the Division of Fish and Wildlife, even on last-minute requests. I thank you for the opportunity to share this brief report regarding the grants that we are bestowed to manage on behalf of the Sinai government. I stand ready to answer any questions that you may have concerning the grants that we are now managing and any concern about our working relation with the Office of Grants Management. Thank you again, Senate President and distinguished and honorable members of this special committee.
Thank you, Director Pangilinan. Do we, Such, can you please get that comments from documents and give it to Jolene? Is there anything else that you would like to share, or any of your colleagues or staff would you like to share? And state your name for the record.
My name is Dr. Lisa Stokowski. I am the Endangered Species Program Manager. I manage 8 different grants currently and worth $2,442,000 roughly. I generally write my grants and go through either Manning or the Office of Grants to submit these grants. The grants office has always been courteous, timely, and very helpful, particularly when there's a time crunch to submit a grant. I have only been here about 2.5 years, so there was a learning curve, and they were very helpful in addressing the process that the CNMI goes through. And I would like to say that they have been very, very helpful, particularly with reallocations, submitting grants. Although I write them, they do proof them, they do submit at least the OIA grants. Most of my grants actually go through Division of Fish and Wildlife, and Manning or I will submit those grants. So it's both kind of an autonomous relationship, but also a very helpful one. I manage, there's 7 people in my department. And I did want to address a couple concerns regarding the comments on Senate Bill 2247, if I may.
You were referring to?
Is that not?
No, go ahead. Is that with the municipality?
It's the Senate Bill 2247.
What's the? Yeah, I'm sorry. I know I'm probably familiar with it, but is it the?
It's the Senate standard or the Resource Economic Development and programs regarding standard reporting, the Central Statistics Division.
Okay, ma'am, can we forego that
Sure.
today?
Yeah,
And
no,
just,
I thought this was part of it. I'm sorry.
No, actually we can. We want to just make sure that we focus on the what you mentioned earlier. But I do encourage you to submit that comments, or whether you're supporting it or some concerns and potential provisions to amend.
Okay.
For consideration to the proper committee, which is I think Resource Economic and Development. Development and Program is chaired under Vice President Stu Kiruba. I encourage you to do that.
Thank you.
But I apologize that we can't want to get into
No,
that.
it was my misunderstanding because Tony Benavente has asked me to comment on multiple things. So
You did right.
I am trying to give you all the information
Sure.
that you request. I would like to say that all of my grants are on time. All of my reporting is current. And we just got a new grant that was not in the papers that were submitted by my department for a NOAA grant for the entire sea turtle program for 3 years.
Great, congratulations. Thank you. Thank you for that information. Mr. Ola?
My name is Frank Algan, and I'm the CNMI Invasive Species Coordinator. Under the Invasive Species Program, I manage 3 grants that's worth $908,000, and most of these grants is the Rhoda CRB coconut rhinoceros beetle problem. We also have one grant, the Macuna Pruens eradication project of Saipan, and we have 2 employees in Saipan and 7 employees in Rhoda. We have volunteer staff in Tinian. We do have a car in Tinian, and we're funding the fuel for the Tinian vehicle. Next month, we're heading down to Tinian to do a comprehensive survey of invasive species plants, which we would like to put together a grant so that we can get a staff for Tinian and put a program together for Tinian. Thank you.
So the relationship, the structure of the working relationship with the grants office is no concerns with that.
As far as DFW, we have a good relationship with grants office.
Okay, thank you. Thank you. Same. I'm sorry, I kind of keep repeating it, but I do want to yield for now and recognize any of the members. They have any concerns or any questions? Any concerns or any questions? Senator Cruz. Senator Cruz.
Thank you, Mr. President. Director Pinion, the statement you just delivered in regards to that 10 million and now the current balance is 4. Is that through your office that grant application, or you go through the OGM? This funding that you receive? Is
all of the grants
directly from your office to the grantor, or you go through OGM?
All of the grants that we have, we initiate the writing of all grants through public law that established the grants office. We go through the grants office for a state clearinghouse to certify that our grants have gone through the state clearinghouse and has met the muster. What they do there is that they just review they review editing, and then also they look at whether we're putting out the appropriate indirect cost. And then once they certify it, we enter those grants through different portals. Some grants we entered it to grants.gov. Others we entered it to Grant Solution. And the third, we entered it to Grants Online. Depending which granting agency we're receiving it, we use the different grant portal.
And I just want to, just to clarify whether the due process you go through. So it's, you mentioned that you have to go there so that the state clearinghouse, the OGM, will concur the submission of your grant. But in regards to being awarded, do you receive the award grant directly to you, or it comes from the OGM?
We receive the award directly from the granting agency.
Directly to you?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Okay. Now, in regards to the volunteer team that you mentioned, is that a government employee or just a non-government employee? The volunteer team.
Government employees under the Department of Natural Resources.
Okay. Okay then.
These guys attended the training off island for what's this coconut rhinoceros and other invasive species.
Thank you. And ma'am, similar to what I asked the director, is that also the same process? Where you write grant and then you go through the OGM office for concurrence, then when you award it, it goes directly, they notify you directly?
Yes, for most of, probably 90% of my grants. I did go through the grants office, submitting for one grant, which was the OIA grant, for 300,000, or, yeah, $300,000. But most of my grants, go through the same process. And even when it is submitted by the grants office, I write it and they verify it, and they have submitted it for me on one occasion.
So any of the grant that you have helped to your section or your division, any denial from the grantor so far, or
No.
most, no? What about you, Mr. Director?
We have not received any denial since I can remember.
Are you for now, Mr. President?
Thank you, Chairman Cruz, Senator.
And I should note that some of these are reoccurring grants and others are competitive. So it's a mix. The standing grants for Section 6, we work with the feds to arrange what the projects will be and how much they cost. But the competitive grants are separate.
Well, thank you. I was just about, you're leading me to ask that question, but since you mentioned that you also write grants under the competitive grants, no?
Yes, I do. The NOAA grant that I mentioned previously was a competitive award. I've worked with DFW on the Alamagan Eradication Feasibility Project, which is shared jointly, but is primarily under DFW and is therefore listed under their projects.
So, Dr. K.
You can just call me Lisa. It's
Okay,
fine.
Lisa. It's difficult to pronounce your last name, but anyway, once you receive your grant, whether the Office of Grant Management clear your write-ups for submission, how was your deduction made through? It's already been deducted to the Grant Management Office, or you're paying that on a later date?
The grants they verify the indirect costs, and basically those indirect costs are periodically removed from the grant in our fund status reports. So I believe it goes through finance to collect those funds, but it is part of our allotment.
Do they deduct your indirect costs 100%, or as you draw the funds?
I believe it's as we draw the funds, because it changes with the fund status.
Okay, so that's good to know. Because right now the standing of the grant management is not showing positive, so maybe as a result of those that are not being deducted of all the in one lump sum indirect grants may have caused some of the deficiency with the grant management. So do you receive any grants regarding the invasive endangered species, right?
Yes.
And this endangered species include turtle,
Yes.
fruit bats?
Fruit bats is actually under DFW. DFW has existing projects on a lot of endangered species. And so we don't compete with each other, and we get funds for a broad scope. We try to work together to complement each other.
So, Director, there's no grants directly that will, take care of our fruit bats population?
We received grants from U.S. Fish and Wildlife to manage the fruit bat, to account for the fruit bat population, to also build the restorations of their habitat. I already informed the supervisor for wildlife that I want, I'm not requesting, I want to make sure that we have a program to manage the fruit bat habitat in case of disaster. It's incumbent upon Fish and Wildlife to make sure that this wildlife are taken care of right after disaster. So we have to be able to make sure that they have some food, whether we have to purchase the food and deliver it over to Rhoda or Tinian or Saipan, wherever it's needed. And we have already charged them that I want to hire a wildlife habitat biologist, so that's going to be his or her job to make sure that our wildlife habitat, be it in Saipan, Tinian, Rhoda, or Rhode Island or the Northern Islands, that our wildlife are taken care of.
Well, that's why I asked that question, like, whether you're receiving any direct or have you ever submit direct grants for the purpose of what you just said?
Yes, we are.
Okay, good. Because you may experience, right, or you may have witnessed or hear in the past after, a typhoon hits Rhoda or, all these supposedly listed in that, like the fruit bats a lot of them died because of no food.
Yes, I'm aware of that, and because of that, I stress that urgently for my staff to, like I said, it's not a request for the wildlife sections under Fish and Wildlife. It is a management want that I want to manage in fruit bat habitat restoration be done particularly in Rhoda, since Rhoda has a lot of fruit bats.
You have any, I'm sorry to deviate away from this, but I'm very interested in the subject area. Because at this time you don't receive any grant to purchase food in the event of any natural disaster at this time, right?
We do have that in our grant proposals and grant awards that we can do purchase food and deliver it over to Rhoda in the event of natural disaster.
Just want to make sure that the endangered species will have access to that and not the individual putting the food for this endangered species.
I hear you, Senator. I'm with you on that.
Now I understand that you have already a biologist in Rhoda.
We have several biologists in Rhoda.
Doing the counting of these endangered species.
Yes, sir.
Do we have a total?
I talked to Josh, our bat biologist, today because I had a feeling that bats would come up. Currently, there's about 2,500 to 3,000, but he expects it to go up as the trees start fruiting. So on Rhoda, he kind of expects between 2,500 and 4,000 bats. Agiguan is about 1,000 bats. Tinian doesn't have any bats, but has the possibility of housing 500 bats if there's more enforcement and replanting of Tinian. And Saipan has less than 50 bats.
Just for informational for our constituents, Mr. Director, what would be a reasonable population to sustain food for the fruit bats in Rhoda?
That is yet to be determined between us and U.S. Fish and Wildlife. We have to demonstrate to U.S. Fish and Wildlife not only based on the population, but our ability to manage the fruit bat population. After we, for example, allow for fruit bat to be harvested. But before fruit bat is to be harvested, we have to work towards downlisting it.
Yeah, and the reason why I asked that question is that if we continue to make an open-ended without control, they're gonna suffer too, even if it's not any natural disaster come along because of shortage of food.
Well, under the Endangered Species Act, when you're trying to recover a species, they have set bars, and so it's not only the population on Rhoda that we have to be concerned about, but additional populations. And Josh has told me that there is movement between islands, but we have to get populations high enough on multiple islands in order to delist them.
When the
So,
food-
so that's what I'm saying. Maybe we can come up with a figure of let's say a 5,000 population. Anything in excess of 5,000, that's where I like the Fish and Wildlife to determine whether we need to provide harvesting in excess of 5,000.
That is the way forward with Fish and Wildlife and DLNR, is that we're working towards downlisting the fruit bat from threatened to non-threatened species. And all this effort that we're doing is working towards that. For your information, item number 25, 27, and 30 are grants that are geared towards fruit bat management.
So it's good to know that there is an incentive, for to seek grants to ensure that this issue would be addressed at times of natural disaster, and this endangered species will not go in limbo for seeking food.
Item number 27 on the paper that I submitted, it's for wildlife technical guidance and disaster readiness. These grants can be used for such occasions as what you are asking.
Okay, so that's very good, Mr. Director, that you are preparing for the future. I'm very thankful to hear that. Now regarding the Rhino Beetle, where are we at that time, Mr. Ram?
Right now, because of the new infestation area in the eastern portion of the southeastern portion of Rhoda, we've already reached the area where, the damage is, anything further than that, there's no more. So right now we're trying to contain the area, and then we'll start reducing the population. According to science, at this point in time, with what we have in Rhoda, eradication is, impossible. So, what we're trying to do is contain it and start reducing the population and make sure that it doesn't move to another area in Rhoda.
So that's why I really need your help there to exert and aggressively continue to ask more grants to ensure that, we prevent that from further.
We have, annual grants being, renewed every year. In fact, with the new infestation area, we just got an emergency grant approved in December of this year. So we can hire more people. When I first came in here, this program, there's only one full-time employee for the CRB. Right now we have 8 with applied for grants to increase the staff down there.
So all of these 8 individuals now are getting paid from the grant office.
Right. And then we just got an additional vehicle. There's 2 ATV that should be shipped down to Rhoda by next week. So, our equipment is getting there.
So this grant that you just received to support the operation and containment of the Rhino Beetle, what does the Office of Grant Management take on that?
They do take the indirect costs on every grant that comes towards CRB. So, but it's a, you know, it's a reduced amount.
I know, I just want to find out whether, Office of Grant Management also, cleared your grant proposal for such program.
Yes. yes.
Like you prepared a proposal or they prepared a proposal?
We prepared the budget and we give them, you know, what we need. And then they prepare
The grant
the
proposal?
grant. And then I reviewed it, and then if everything is okay, they submit.
Also, it's a vice versa. No, I
Yes,
thought
right.
that you prepared a proposal and the Office of Grant Management reviewed the proposal.
No, we just prepared the budget for them. And then, what's this, and then we review the proposal that, you know, they prepare. And then next time when we,
So who submit directly to the grantor, your office or their office?
know the grants office submit.
So you're reviewing the work of the grant office
Right.
for approval,
Right.
not the grant office reviewing your proposal for their approval.
No, we don't write grants from, you know, they do write all the grants. We just provide all the budget and what we need for the.
So that's why, Mr. I'm trying to clear my head, because in the testimony, agencies or department prepare the legwork of the grant that they're gonna use, okay? They submit to the Office of Grant Management for their review, change, or upgrade their proposal and sign off before submittal. But in your case, you prepare what is needed, you give the grant office to prepare the grant, and then it goes back to you for your approval.
Right.
That's how it works.
Yeah.
So the grant works in two mysterious ways, right?
Yes, he has a different system than Manny and I.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to see whether we have a SOP for everybody.
Hmm.
So now I found out that there are agencies that, you know, do the opposite over the other agency.
I think it really depends on
what type of
the
grant, right?
staff that's on board and the type of grant. So, you know, a lot of the facilities grants obviously go through the grants office. But as far as wildlife, I have grant writing experience. If Frank doesn't, then the grants office helps him because it increases success.
May I ask this other question, Lisa? Because you prepared a grant, why did Office of Grant Management is taking indirect cost as you prepare your own grant?
A valid question. My understanding is indirect cost covers, you know, a wide range of costs. So AG's cost, finance, admin, and so I think that's where a lot of the costs go, but the grants management or grants office manages it.
If I may, Senator,
Yes, Director.
there are two parts of, grant awards. One is the direct cost, which goes directly to the project's cost. The other is indirect cost, which goes to the central government expenses. Those central government expenses providing services to the grant indirectly, such as the Office of Personnel Management, the AG, as you mentioned, the Office of the Governor, the Procurement and Supply, the Department of Finance. So those type of services that are rendered through the Office of from the central government are being negotiated with the cognizance agency. Usually that's going to be OIA for the state and territory. So they negotiate how much is the indirect cost each yearly the state can charge the grant. So those indirect costs does not go to the agency like the departments or Fish and Wildlife for that matter. It goes to the central government. And the central government uses that money to pay to cover expenses that they have incurred to pay for those central services that are rendered to managing the grant.
Yeah, I understand that. I'm just curious that, why, OJM, get the indirect cost when you directly prepare. But I believe that's the law, right?
That is the law.
So assuming that you contributed your indirect cost already, okay? And down the line, can you, as a department or division, also propose sub-grant from the office of OJM?
Can I sub-grant the Office of
Can you request for a
OJM?
sub-grant if your office need down the line, can your office also, is your office privileged to submit sub-grant from Office of Grant Management?
Sub-granting can be given to any department, whether it's within the Sinamay government or a profit, non-profit, or outside the Sinamay government, provided that the services rendered is directly related to the grant scope of work or objectives.
What I'm trying to get across that if you pay $100 on your indirect cost, okay, you get all your grant that you wanted to spend in your project, okay. So down the line, you're experiencing some financial problem that you need to draw the attention of the Office of Grant Management to submit an indirect or sub-grant, right?
I think it's a terminology difference. I do know that Tony Benavente does request help on occasion for, like, if the AC goes out or there is a financial need, but it isn't necessarily a sub-grant. It's just a request for funds.
From the grant office.
From the grant office.
So that's what I'm trying to find out whether I pay my indirect cost $100,000. And then the line, I went over to sub-grant and said, can you help me $300? Do you guys catch where I'm driving at?
Yes, I just know that Tony has made those requests in the past, and we have received funds from the indirect pool. Exactly what goes on behind that, I don't know. I just know that it has happened.
So that's a good encouragement for your division and all your division to be aggressively submitting more competitive grant or request for grant so that you can continue to avail, from the Office of Grant Management if you need more in the future without submitting an indirect sub-grant request. Are you understand?
Thank you, Senator. Okay, recognize the leaders of law.
Thank you, Mr. President. Good afternoon, Dr. Pangilinan, Mr. Gan, and Lisa. I'll stick with Lisa. Just one question in the statement. Impressed and comforted by the 41 grants or 40 grants, right? That is being initiated and managed by DLNR. Are these in the list? Maybe Lisa or Director, is this the grant period? Is this annually, or some of these grants are kind of extend to like multiple 2 years, 3 years?
Okay, some of these grants are annually, some of these grants are extended, so that we can complete the project. For instance, right now, we have just submitted 18 grants for a new proposal for FY22, which amounts to $3 million, $3,011,539. This has already been submitted to the granting agency. We're expecting all these grants to be approved, but this grants is based on annual. So if some of the one that's listed is what is currently on the books.
Yes, and my grants are on a separate list than his. So there's actually more like 50 grants that DLNR is, and plus Frank's. So there's quite an extensive list, and it depends on who's kind of managing those grants. But like Manny, most of those are just on the books currently. Some of them have been extended from the past or will be extended because of, COVID or, reasons beyond our control. The NOAA grant that I mentioned was for 3 years, but they've only given us the first year's money. And so most grants, I would say, are annual or 2 years, sometimes 3 in the case of NOAA. But what I have provided you is everything that is current, including 3 different grants that are all AGA related. But multiple grants for the sea turtles just because they've overlapped, and one will be ending at the end of the month, and we're picking up a full program. So
I believe it is safe to say that DLNR all in all has about 60 grants. They're managing about 60 grants if you take into account the divisions of agriculture, the Secretary's office, and my office, and the Soil Water Conservation District office.
Okay, that's great, great information. And that's the only question I have. I guess the gist of the committee proceeding today was just to kind of measure the relationship between DLNR and the Office of Grants Management, who is undergoing the oversight and informational session. But it seems that DLNR has a good control over their grants. Your structure is working, so I'm not going to ask any more questions. And I'd like to kudos to you and the staff and the leadership of DLNR. Thank you.
Thank you. Floor well. The chair would like to just pose a couple of questions. I do maybe we'll do it this way with regards to CHRB, Mr. Alon. Is there our CRB? Do we need? You referenced something earlier that we can't eradicate it anymore, but really just to contain it. Is that what you're?
Right. Well, what's this? They've tried to eradicate it all over the Pacific. Only one place was successful, and they had an army working for them.
Okay.
A lot of people working for them, and this was in Tonga. And it was done over a 5-year period.
Okay.
Right now, we only have 8 people enrolled. And we need more, it can be done, but we need more resources.
Okay.
In terms of eradication.
Thank you. And I'm pleased that there's a automatic renewal to continue the project.
Every year.
The effort. But I do want to ask this: is there a time? Recently, they transferred the agriculture quarantine to merging with customs. So, but the question that I ask is based on your assessment of the way things are developing on Rhoda as far as the coconut rhino beetle. Is there a need for us to start looking into the inter-island?
We've been doing that,
Mr.
President. We have a program. It's the detection and prevention, just like the country snake program.
So you guys are administered that already?
We do have traps all over Tinian Airport and Seaport, Saipan to prevent the rhino beetle, and then we do have traps all over in Rhoda, the Seaport and the airport to prevent it from leaving Rhoda to come into island.
Okay, so that's good to know. So that's sufficient to combat the spread, no?
Yes, but we do need to have a personnel at least one full-time personnel in Tinian for under the invasive species program. And I'll be going there next month to do a survey, so we can do a report and then do a grant to try and put one personnel, full-time personnel in Tinian.
Yeah. The reason why I ask this is because there's a push for, there's a lot of military aircraft coming in and out. Of course, means you know what I'm alluding to, no? So is there a...
We are going to be in Tinian for almost 1 month next month for the duration of the training. You know, the forager training, yeah.
So would that be something that we can institute, maybe include in your report or in your request, that because of the annual trainings and the frequency, maybe we can expand it more, you know?
I'm moving some personnel from Rhoda, and I'm moving some personnel from Saipan to be on Tinian for the duration of the training, so that, you know, to ensure that none of the invasive species are brought in from Guam. You know, there's one invasive species in Guam. It's a little fire ant, and it's a very dangerous and very destructive invasive species, and we don't want that. I was communicating with the military and also from the military liaison to ensure that, you know, when they do the wash down in Guam and the inspection, to make sure that, you know, the little fire ant is not on any of those vehicles or equipment or cargo that is being moved to, including Rhoda. We don't want that in Rhoda, Tinian, or Saipan.
And thank you for that information, and I encourage you to continue on, no? Flushing that down with because I know that they're very sensitive when it comes to, you know, and training, and they always flush your agency and some other entities with regards to them coming in and doing the training. I wanted to maybe either Dr. Lisa or Dr. Manny, can any of you discuss the project, the marina project on Tinian? Where's that at? I mean, which grant here that covers that?
Okay, I did not include the grants here for the FEMA because.
Well, that's a FEMA project.
That's
Okay.
FEMA
Okay,
project.
that's fine. So that one is moving forward.
That is moving forward. I spoke to Mayor O'Donnell out here that we will be meeting with the Lieutenant Governor next week to discuss how we move forward with the design and the scope of work for the Tinian Marina.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. So anything else? DTS is important. I see Tony Castro Tinian is doing an outstanding job down there at DTS. I also learned something new when I was out there, that there's what do you call that? The FAD program, the fish aggregating.
Right, the fish aggregating device, also known as FATS.
Right. Is that for just to give our good fishermen that's where the fish is at, or that's a deterrent for them not to go there?
As a matter of fact, the FATS has been deployed on all the islands, Rhoda, Tinian, and Saipan, and out in the reef to encourage fishermen to fish around the FATS. The purpose of the FATS is to aggregate the fish around the FATS, so you will supposedly it will make fishing easier. And
so it's not fishing; it's catching already.
It's catching. It's easier to catch fish around the FATS.
Thank you. I just wanted to ask that. I don't have any other questions. The chair would like to yield. If any of the members would like to make a final statement, time is advancing, but I don't have any other question other than to say thank you for your presence this afternoon. Please extend our appreciation to Secretary Benavente for their cooperation in coming to have this meeting this afternoon. We will be getting in contact with you if there is anything else that we have questions on. No?
Again, I want to say thank you on behalf of Secretary Benavente, and I apologize for not being able to show up due to urging family issues, and he appreciates your understanding.
Appreciate it, thank you.
Thank you, and I applaud all your hard works to bring about a lot of, this grant that will really help us. So, Dr. Lisa, continue to aggressively work on your own grant, and we'll make sure that we can ride on your own grant also. We can be a rider of your grant, right?
Yes, I write my own grants.
But we can be a rider on your grant if we have idea to give it to you to include.
If it's endangered species related, sure.
Okay, so,
Thank you. Thank you very much, Director.
And thank you all for giving us this opportunity.
all right, so, again, just to formally close the, meeting today, I want to thank the staff, every staff, for, all their support, every time that we convene a meeting. And, with respect to this specific, committee, our next meeting will be on Thursday, 9:30 sharp in the Senate chamber. So with that, on behalf of the members, I want to thank the staff. I want to thank you for your presence today. And I would like to ask a member to entertain a motion to adjourn.
Motion to adjourn today's proceedings.
Then there a motion for adjournment and seconded. All those in favor to adjourn this meeting, please say aye. All those opposed, say nay. Motion carries. The committee meeting, special committee meeting stands adjourned. So, thank you.